always have to have my laptop going and showing this as I go along just to make sure I'm always in the frame and see how things are looking and make sure that we are straight and not all wonky. But just bear with me for one moment. There's that short little delay that happens between from when I actually do something to what I see. I just want to make sure everything's straight. I want to make sure that we got plenty of light and we can see everything that's going on. So everything looks good. So hello everybody, this is Carla and welcome back to the studio. And thank you for joining me for another episode of Throwback Thursday. This is our final Throwback Thursday for the month of June. And for this episode, I am using yet another bundle. This was a request from one of my viewers. So I want to thank her very much for the suggestions. She suggested three great sets. Two of them are standalone stamp sets. One of them was Coffee with Friends. Blueberry Bunches was last week, and then this week is going to be Nested Friends. So this one's all about with the birds and some dies that will die cut the stamped images, plus you got some more detailed ones where you can build your nest, and there's some leaves there. So a really cool set. Now I've had this bundle for a while, just couldn't seem to come up with anything with it at the time, but I came up with two great projects, pretty simple actually, for this episode. So again, those two stamp sets in this bundle were recommended by Melody, so thank you. If there's anybody who's interested in uh, wanting me to demonstrate some retired stuff that I have not done so far, you can simply put a comment in the comment section of the video and let me know if I have whether it's an individual standalone stamp set, a bundle, or a suite. Just mention it if I have it, and if I haven't done a video on it yet, I'll be more than happy to include it into that following month's schedule. When we hit the end of June, pretty much the very, very beginning of July, I will be putting together my newsletter for the month of July. And I do have a video schedule, so everything that I use for my Throwback Thursdays, what I'm going to use for my Friday night lives, and I think what is there? There's the paper pumpkin and also a monthly Christmas card inspiration I do on the first of the month. I plan everything out on what I'm going to use for that month. So if you have a suggestion, I will, depending on the timing of it, I will include it in the following month's schedule of videos. So if you would like to know what it is that I am doing, like I said, I do have a monthly newsletter. I typically send it out on the first Tuesday of each month. On the first Tuesday, Stampin' Up! Comes out with 2 to 3 new kits in their kits collection. I like to include information about those. I also have, like, any specials or promotions that Stampin' Up! May be doing, anything that I may be doing here in person in the studio, and any other information that is kind of important. I typically, like I said, send it out just once a month, but sometimes we could be in the middle of the month and Stampin' Up! Comes out with another promotion. So in that case, I would send another one out just to give you guys a heads up on what's going on. So if you're interested in my newsletter, there is a link for it in the description of this video. When you click on that link, it'll just ask for your first and last name and your email address. And then when I go to send out my newsletters, you'll be on my list and you will receive it. Let me see, is there anything else that I want to let you know about? Um, we still have stuff on our, there's light reflecting off of that, so I'm going to hold these up. So we still have our last chance products list going. There were more stuff that were added. Some items were, their prices were reduced more. Let's see, we also have our buy one, get one 50% off on all sweets and sweet products. That sale is going to be ending very, very soon on June 30th. So if you have any questions regarding that at all, feel free to reach out. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have on that. And I think that's all I really got to say. Tomorrow night, Friday, I will be doing my Friday night live at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I will be featuring the beautiful bouquet suite of products. That's the one with the beautiful butterflies bundle, and it's got that hybrid embossing folder and that really cool designer series paper. So that's going to be my Friday Night Live tomorrow. And when I do my live, those that are joining me and are commenting in the comment section, I do a giveaway for one of the cards that I make that evening. So I hope that you can join us. Also, if you like any of the videos that I put out, giving it a thumbs up really does help. It helps me in growing the channel. Also, if you subscribe to the channel, just hit the notification bell and it will let you know when I have some pre-recorded videos that have posted, and also when I go live. So like I was mentioning earlier, on the first of each month, I do a monthly Christmas card inspiration, which I create two pretty simple cards just to give you some inspiration if you want to do your Christmas cards throughout the year. Paper Pumpkin, I do subscribe to it, so whenever I do get it in, I do a pre-recorded video in which I create one of each of the projects so you can kind of see how they all come together. I also do Throwback Thursdays, which is what this is. This is where I pull out my retired stash and I create two projects using it. And it could be the standalone stamp sets, it could be the bundles, and it can also be a whole suite of product. And then, of course, I do my Friday night lives at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that's where we create three projects using some current product that you can still get, whether it's in our online exclusives or in one of our current catalogs. And right now it's our annual catalog. That's the only catalog that we have at the moment that is current. So again, we're using the Nested Friends bundle. And let me bring in the stuff for my first project. Now, a lot of stuff as far as die cutting and some embossing, I have done that ahead of time just to save some time on the video itself. So again, I have a lot of stuff die cut here, and let me kind of slide this out of the way and let you know what we have here. So for my card base, I have a piece of crumb cake. This measures 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. I have a piece of Calypso coral. This measures 5.25 by 4. A piece of very vanilla cardstock. This measures 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. Ahead of time, I have embossed it using the Timber 3D embossing folder. This just recently had retired. And let's see what else I got here. So out of a scrap piece of soft suede, I have die cut this detailed image of the base of our bird's nest. And then at a crumb cake, here's a more detailed piece that I die cut. Now, on this piece, I did not add any adhesive sheet to it, which you can for things like this. I will use some of my Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue. I do have it in a fine tip glue bottle, so that helps with not using too much. And then also out of Crumb Cake, I have stamped the branch here, and I did that using Crumb Cake ink. Then out of a scrap of Very Vanilla, I have stamped the thank you greeting in Crumb Cake ink, and I die cut that using the Stylish Shapes dies. These are still available. And then I also stamped my bird in Crumb Cake and die cut that. At a pool party, I have stamped 3 of the eggs. So, and then there are, I think, like 4 dies that do die cut all these little tiny leaves, and the color of the cardstock I used for this is Old Olive. So I'll set that aside, set all of this aside, and we'll go ahead and we'll fold and we'll burnish our card base. And then I'll bring in my liquid glue, and I'm going to adhere my embossed Very Vanilla to my Calypso coral. And again, this is in a fine tip glue bottle. This is the Tombow multi-purpose glue that we do sell in our catalog. I do have a link for this. I got these off of Amazon. You do get a pack of 10 of them. And what's nice is this glue has a latex in it, so you don't need much for it to stick really well. So that was one of the reasons why I like putting it in that fine tip glue bottle, because I have a little bit more control of the glue that way. And plus also when you're gluing like little fine detailed things too, you can just add a little drop from that tip of that bottle, as opposed to, you know, the regular glue bottle where you could get a little bit more glue than what you want. Okay, so then I'm going to take my card base and this piece, and we'll put these together. Okay. And we'll just center that like so. Okay, and then I'm going to take my thank you greeting here. Got a little bit of glue on my finger so everything's sticking. I'll bring in my dimensionals. I'm going to add 3 on here like so. And then I'll adhere this to the bottom right hand corner of my card base. Put that right here like so. Okay, and then we're going to take our branch piece here, and I'm going to add a little bit of glue on this. Okay, and then I'm going to place this right here like so, and we'll hold it down just for a little bit, just so that way it sticks. Okay, now for all of my little leaves here, there are some big ones and then there's some little ones. So I'm going to put down these larger ones first. So I'm going to bring in my take your pick tool for this, and I need to turn some of these around. Okay, so we got our larger leaves. So I'll put these larger ones down first, and then our smaller ones, I'm going to layer them on top of those. I just want to get these all in the right direction, so I can just easily pick them up and put them in the glue. All right, so on these areas where we have the leaves, let's see here and here. All right. Just going to place those down in the glue. And of course it's going to move on me. Gotta hold them down for a moment. Put one down here. Okay. Right here. Then one more up the top here. Now, when I put my nest on here, I'm going to place another one over here. So I'm going to just kind of put this down right here so I know where I'm going to place it. And I'm going to come like right about here. Add a little drop of glue. And then we'll add this other large one right here. Okay, then let's see, what do I want to do next? I'm going to let that dry just for a little tiny bit. And then I'm going to bring in my eggs here. Now, if you look at the nest, you can see like you got the inside of it right here. So I am going to take my eggs and I'm going to line them up kind of like right here along this line here. And I'm not going to do them like all straight up. I'm going to angle some of them. And then we got one more. Okay, and then we'll put that one right there like so. Oops, turn that around. All right, and then for this part of the nest, the detailed, this is going to go, let me see which way I want this, going to go this direction. So I am going to, you know, really, I shouldn't put those eggs like that. They should be behind. So I'm going to have to go up a little bit on this detail part because of those eggs. I don't want them like hidden behind. So I'm just adding a couple little drops here. What I should do is I should bring in my silicone craft sheet to do this. I'm going to put that on there like so. I'm going to take this, I'm going to turn it over just to get some of that excess glue. Okay, so there is our nest. And I'm going to take some dimensionals and I'm going to put some on the back of this. Like so, and then we'll just set that aside for a moment because we're going to finish our leaves and then we will place that on top. Okay, so where I had placed these larger leaves, I want to add these smaller ones right on top of them. Okay, they are very tiny. Make sure I'm in the screen and not going out of it so you can see what I'm doing. Come on, don't stick to my finger. Come on, it needs to stick to the card. We don't want it to come up. And then I'll place this one right over here. And then I'm going to add that other little one right over here. So it kind of fills in the end of our branch there. Okay, then let's take our paper backings off of our dimensionals here. And we will place this right here on top of our branch. And then I'm going to bring in my Wink of Stella and I'm going to add some onto these eggs. Okay. Then let's set that aside for a moment and we are going to color in our bird. So let me grab a piece of scrap paper here. Try and find a clean piece. Okay, wait, I know I got a clean piece. Here we go. Okay, and so for my bird, I am going to use my light Calypso coral marker and my light crumb cake. So I will take my light crumb cake and we'll do these outer feathers here, and I'll do his beak as well. And do his wings. Okay. And then we'll bring in our light Calypso coral and we'll fill in the rest of them. Okay, and let me get that light crumb cake again and just fill in right here. Okay, then I'm going to bring in my dimensional. Well, no, we're not going to pop him up because we already have our image kind of popped up, so we're not going to add a whole lot of extra bulk. So I'm going to add some glue right here, and then we'll add our bird right here on our nest. Okay, and then for my embellishments on this project, these are the adhesive back dots for days. These are still available in the last chance list. I'm thinking these may have been discounted a little bit. They were on low inventory, so at the time of you watching this video, they may or may not be still available in the online store. If you click on the link in the description for these, if it takes you to it in the online store, then that tells you that they're still available. If they don't come up, then they have sold out at that point. So these particular dots, I think these may be garden green, or they could be old olive. The packaging does not have the colors on it. It is actually in the online store. But they look pretty close to the old olive, so I'm going to add a few of these to my card, and I'm going to be fairly close to my image, to my focal point on my card. So we'll add one here and another. So there's two different sizes of these. You got a large and then you got the small. So I have the large one down there and the two large ones up near the top. Okay, so there is the first card. So got a lot of that the pastel, the subtle colors in there, and looks kind of cute. Okay, so now let's bring in the stuff for our second card. And again, a lot of stuff I did ahead of time. Okay, so here's all our bits and pieces. Okay, and let me just slide this out of the way. So for my card base, this is Pool Party. It measures 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. I have another piece of Pool Party. This measures 5.25 by 4. And ahead of time, I have embossed this. Now, this embossing folder has been retired for a while. This one is called Into the Clouds. So I embossed that. And then out of a scrap piece of Pool Party, I had stamped this using early espresso ink. And then I had die cut it using the More Messages dies. Let me bring that in the camera so you could see them. These are the More Messages dies. This does bundle with the More Messages stamp set. So the stamp set is a full like background stamp size that has all these different greetings in it. And when you stamp that once, you can then take this die, place it over and line it up, and then you can die cut all of these greetings and these labels at the same time. So for this particular one, because this is a cling red rubber stamp set, I did stamp the greeting first, and then it's just a little piece of scrap, and then I lined up this part of the die on it and die cut that out. What's nice about this, I have taken some basic white cardstock, and then there's some of the Pool Party there where I just die cut a whole bunch all at once. I didn't stamp any greetings on it, and then put it in one of these little cellophane envelopes into the case. So then what's really nice when you have photopolymer stamps where you can see right through it, these are great that you can just pull them out and add a greeting and then add it to your card. Also out of Pool Party, I have die cut the eggs again. This time there is a stamp in the set that has these little dots on them, and I had stamped that in early espresso ink. And then out of a scrap of basic white, I stamped these images, so the branch, and then there is the image of the bird's nest and the bird. All of these were stamped using early espresso ink. So I'm going to take my card base and we'll burnish that, and then I'm going to add that embossed layer on top of it, just like what I did in the last project. Now I want to pay attention to how I'm putting it on there. I want to make sure that I have my clouds going in the right direction. So let's add some glue. Okay. And then we will center that like so. When you emboss, it does warp the cardstock. So I try to get glue on the edge of the cardstock so that way I can have it flush with the card base. Okay, and then my greeting, we're going to put some dimensionals on the back of this. And we'll set that aside. And then our eggs, we'll take those and we'll set those aside as well. And then we're going to do some coloring with these images and with our blends as well. So let me get that out of the way, bring in my paper. Okay, so for my coloring, for my leaves, I have the light and dark granny apple green. For the branch, I have dark pecan pie. For the nest and for the bird, I have the light and dark crumb cake. And then for the bird's beak, this is the dark timid tiger. So that's a new in color that just came out with this new annual catalog. So let's start coloring. So I want to do my branch in my dark pecan pie. And make sure that I stay into the camera and I don't come too low where you don't see what I'm doing. Okay, we'll put that aside. Then on our bird's nest, we have this little like branchy type thing right here. So I'm going to color that in with my dark pecan pie as well. Okay, so we're done with that. And then for my leaves, I'm going to use the light, I'm going to start off with the light granny apple green. And I'll color all these leaves in, and then I'll go, after it dries a little bit, I will go over in some of the spots and add a little bit of the dark. Okay, then we got these two right here. All right, and then on my nest, there are a few leaves on here as well. And got some leaves going here and there. And there's some that's actually poking out of the nest itself. It's right about where my hand is. Yeah, I've had this bundle for a while now. I got it when they first shown that it was going to retire. And like I said, it was one of them I was going to use a while back, but for some reason back at that time, I just couldn't come up with anything for it. So it just worked out this time, and the projects, as you can see, they so far they look fairly simple. There's nothing really complicated with them. It's just there's coloring. Well, at least a lot of coloring on this second one, not so much on the first one. Okay, and then we have another, got some on the top here. There's some over here. Okay, so I think we got all of that. Oops, it's right here. There's two little ones. Okay, and then I'm going to, let me bring in my bird. We'll do my bird while that dries a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to do the beak using my dark Timid Tiger. And then we're going to do this part of our bird using the light crumb cake. Okay, and then the rest of the bird we're going to use our dark crumb cake. And we'll turn it around. Okay, so there is our bird. Set that aside. And then I'm going to take my light crumb cake, and now for this, because like all these twigs and everything that's in the nest, I'm just going to add, you know, just kind of like these lines kind of somewhat following them. I know that my marker is going to kind of go outside the lines on this a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm going to do that for these outer pieces, and then I will color in the rest of it. And then the center part of my nest, I'll use the dark crumb cake to fill that all in. Because you've got the detail in this nest, and there's some darker areas, I'm not going to worry about coming in with the dark crumb cake, you know, to fill any of that in. I'm just going to color right over it with the light. Okay. Okay, so we got that filled in. It looks good. Okay, and then I'm going to take my dark Granny Apple Green, and just in some of these spots on the leaves, I'm just going to add a little bit of the dark on them. And same thing on here. When I let the lighter Granny Apple Green dry first before I go over it with the dark, then you're able to see that darker green a little bit more. I'm not looking for like a perfectly like blending of the two colors. I do want to see that difference between the light and the dark. So there is that. And then I'll come in with my dark crumb cake, and then I will fill in the inside part here of my nest like so. Okay, so that's all our coloring. Let's move that out of the way. Okay, so then on my branch, I'm going to bring in a piece of Scotch tape. I'm going to attach my branch here to the back. So I want my nest to kind of sit about here. So I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to place that there just to kind of hold the two pieces together. And then I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back of this. I'll place one more right there. Okay, so let me bring in my card base. And we'll remove all of these and put this down. Okay, make sure the card's facing the right way. And then we'll place this about here on our card. And then my greeting, I will take that and I will add that up here. Like so. Try to get it straight. Looks good. Okay, and then these eggs, I'm going to add a little bit of glue. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to put them straight up. I'm going to have them at an angle. So we got one more. I'll place that right there. Okay, and then we're going to glue down our bird as well. I'm not going to use dimensionals on it, only because our nest is already lifted up. So we don't want to add that extra bulk onto it. So we'll place that down. Okay, so there is our card assembled. And then I am going to bring in those embellishments again. This time we do have a pool party in here. So I'm going to go with, again, use one of the large ones and then two of the smaller ones. Put this one here. Oops. Let's see, we'll put one right up in here. And we'll add one right up here. So we're kind of staying close to the image itself with our embellishments. So there is our second card. Now I'm not adding any Wink of Stella to these eggs only because if I brush the Wink of Stella on them, that early espresso ink will probably smear. So I'm going to pass on that. But here's the other card using the stamped image and coloring it in. So here's our first one, our thank you card, where we did a lot of the paper piecing with some of those detailed dies that are in the set of dies. And then there's a stamped image that we colored in and put it all together. So if you like the projects that I made in this episode of Throwback Thursday using the Retired Nested Friends bundle, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. Um, hit the little notification bell. It'll let you know whenever I go live or I post another video. I post at least 2 videos a week. And if you have like any questions at all, I do have some links that are in the description. Of course, there's links to the products that I use now. Items that are retired, I have notated that they are retired, so you're not able to get them unless you're able to find them where somebody is selling it. There's links in there for where all of our last chance products are. If you would like a new catalog, my email is in the description as well. If you live here in the United States and not working with another demonstrator and you would like a paper copy of our new annual catalog, please feel free to reach out. I did make mention of the buy one, get one 50% off all Sweet and Sweet products that will go through June 30th. And if you have any questions regarding that, please feel free to reach out. Also, I do have my monthly newsletter, like I mentioned earlier. That link is in there. And yeah, so all that stuff is in there. So tomorrow night I will be going live at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I will be featuring, what am I featuring? The beautiful bouquet suite of products. That's the one with the beautiful butterfly stamp set and the hybrid embossing folder and set of dies. And let's see, I think, is that it? Yeah, again, by liking, sharing, subscribing, all of that helps with YouTube getting my videos out there for people who like to do paper crafting and card making. And so it not only helps me in growing the channel, it also helps me in growing and building my Stampin' Up! Business. So thank you everybody for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.